Hey there, you're tuned in to 168 FM and are listening to a BA Summit SA pop-up pod, a special edition broadcast to give you a taste of what to expect at the Business Analysis Event of the Year, BA Summit 2023. And here's what's coming up on this pod. We're going to meet the 2023 track chairs, and they're going to tell us all about this year's conference, the theme and the thinking behind it, the tracks and speakers that are featured this year. Basically, they're going to stoke your BA fire, and you're either going to get excited for it because you're going, or you're going to get to feel some FOMO because you're not. Let's find out which it's going to be from the track chairs of 2023. Welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for inviting us.
Hi.
Hello, thanks for inviting us.
Excited to be here.
Right, so we've got Oupa, Christelle, Mark, Shahnaaz and Edward. These guys have put in together a little bit of a show for us that's happening in Cape Town this late October. So maybe we can start at the top, actually, Ed. I'm going to come to you first. I know that we've got a bit of a theme this year focusing on the future. Won't you give us a little bit of the thinking behind the tagline of this year's summit?
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Good day, good evening, good afternoon, everyone who's listening. So this year's summit is anchored around three words. We did three words not because it's so fashionable to do, but there was some thinking behind it. So to elevate the status of business analysis, that's one of the things that we want to do this year. But most importantly, we made that to link up with the IBA South Africa chapter theme of 2023, which is level up. So we needed to make sure that there's connection, there's continuity, to what the chapter wants to achieve and in what you're delivering the summit. So that's one aspect of it. The other one is the empowering. We also want to make sure that the delegates leave the summit feeling empowered. They leave the summit knowing that they've gained something by attending the summit. And the last part is excelling. We want to make sure that true unlearning and relearning, which is actually underlying the entire conference or the entire summit, make sure that, the BAs or whoever is the delegate, whether a BA, as in a practitioner or a BA as in the manager of BAs, or whatever capacity you are actually attending, you're able to excel at what you do. So that's what the whole conference theme is all about, Joe. It is really about us constantly reinventing ourselves because, if we stop unlearning and relearning, we stop to grow. And if we stop growing, it's a quicker way of us dying. We need to make sure that we constantly find the new versions of ourselves, and the summit is one of the exercises through which we're able to find the new versions of ourselves. So I hope the delegates, they leave, take a piece of something out of the conference that will help them to elevate and empower. They feel empowered and they're able to excel at what they do. So in summation, or to summarize, that's what the conference is all about, which is underlined by, us learning and relearning. I'm a student for life. That's one of the things that I am. But let me stop there.
I know you're a student for life, Ed, and I think that's fantastic. So we got three core words here, right? We've got elevate, we've got empower, we've got excel. And I know that you've added on to that inspiring the future of business analysis. And I think that statement comes at quite a crunch time for the profession. I do think that we're going through quite a significant shift in terms of the profession, in terms of the sort of lay of the land, that we serve for organisations. And you've used the phrase unlearn, relearn and learn, right? The word that springs to mind there for me is regeneration. I think we're at a point where as a profession we do perhaps need to regenerate a little bit if we're to continue making the kind of dent in organisations that we do.
That's very true. Business analysis is continuously and consistently evolving, and it should. It's the right thing. Because we definitely, one of the biggest fears is fear of complacency. So we really have to continuously move with the times. There's so much happening in the industry right now. One example is which is thrown in by technology. one of the buzzwords that's happening is generative AI. It's one of the things just to think about how does it impact us as business analysts. Some of the speakers, the lecturers will talk about that when they talk about the speakers, but some of the speakers do talk to technologies like that. Where do we stand? And again, we have to constantly make sure that we move with the times to remain relevant and to remain needed as well, and to actually to make sure that we continue to add value to our stakeholders.
Yeah, absolutely. Adding value is a key part of this. So you mentioned the tracks, so maybe we can start like digging into those a little bit. Let's come to you, Opar. I think you are the custodian of track one. Is that right?
That is absolutely right. And you've had Ed talk about as the business analysis professionals. I mean, how do we make sure that we are still relevant? And that's what this track is primarily about, sustainability. We hear about it quite a lot, the green piece of this world. And what is sustainability in the business analysis context? Are we still going to be relevant? What tools do we need in order to make sure that we are at the forefront, or at least not too far behind the curve when all these things are changing? With the whole AI and whatever other technologies are going to be coming. And we also have to consider the kind of mindset that we need to have. What do we need to shift in the way that we do things? But for businesses themselves, how do we assist them? Because as business analysts, that's what we do. We help them craft solutions that are going to help them to be sustainable in the long run. And therefore, there are quite a number of things that we need to learn. And it's quite fascinating to see the different submissions that came in this topic, because it's such a broad topic. You can actually have a whole conference just about sustainability. But then we have a track about sustainability here. And one of the key people to look out for is the president of the International Institute of Business Analysis. Delvin is going to be speaking in my track, and he's going to be delivering quite an interesting topic. And we also have Andre from Slovenia. He's bringing a very different view, like quite a nice flavor. I mean, I looked at it and it reminded me of my favorite seasoning, aromat. The way that he's brought it in, the topic that he's going to be touching on, is, you'll be thinking, well, are we at a BA summit? Yes, we will be at a BA summit, but the nuggets that are coming from his talk are just going to be so much phenomenal. And, another person that I must just mention definitely is Olu from the UK, and how he's bringing a different way that he has embedded some sustainability practices in what he does. And hey, did I mention that one of the track chairs is speaking in my track? Yeah, so that's how fascinating this track is, and I'll encourage everyone to just take a stab at it. Come and listen to the track, join the conversations that are going to be happening around sustainability. It's definitely going to be a blast. We need to find ways of making sure that this practice is sustainable in the long run. Our practices, our business processes that we implement, the solutions that we suggest and even implement for the businesses need to be sustainable for the long run. Even the so-called quick wins, maybe in the future we'll have sustainable quick wins. Who knows?
Yeah, no, it's a very important track. I think everything is shifting around us, right? The way that we approaches that are trending, that's bringing sort of more niche specialist roles. So our environment is in constant flux, and absolutely we're going to have to do hard work if we want to remain relevant, if we want to sustain this profession forward in organisations. Thank you, Opar. Right. Track number 2. I believe you've been saving all the juice for this particular pod, Christelle. So please, won't you share with us all about track 2 and some of the highlights that you've got for us?
So, track number 2 is entitled Leadership and Collaboration. Just touching on what Ed shared about our role evolving, and we cannot afford to be complacent in our role. I like to think of it, especially in terms of this track, as the constant pursuit of new insights. Very similar to the Will Smith movie of In the Pursuit of Happiness. I think our entire profession is in the pursuit of new insights. And that may look different depending on which industry you're in, but it's true for the entire profession. We're constantly looking for new insights, and leadership and collaboration is at the forefront of that. We no longer fit in that box of just bridging the gap between business and technology. We're now bridging the gap between the present and the future. So how do we do that? How do we lead the way? How do we collaborate with those around us? How do we ensure that when we do get a seat at the table, we actually have the sustainable practices? And you'll see some of the other keywords coming out from the next two tracks that are going to be mentioned. How do we have those tools to make sure it's not just about the voice, but can we put our money where our mouth is, basically? So I'm really looking forward to this track. We've got some really interesting speakers. So I thought about a fun way to tell you about these speakers. Let me give you some clues. We have
Okay.
some wild animals that are going to be a part of this presentation. I don't know whether our international speakers assumed that because this is Africa, they need to mention some wild animals, but think wildebeest and think lions. We've got a Socratic BA, we've got an executive BA, we've got some breaking down of barriers, some unlocking of new leadership skills, some driving of results, and some building of bridges. So, based on all those keywords, you can tell that our speakers are really diving in. They're rolling up their sleeves, loosening their ties, kicking off their high heels, whichever one applies to you, and they're getting in there to really drive this profession forward. So I'm looking forward to it. We've got a good mix of international and local speakers, and I think we have a lot to learn from their experiences.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I like the way you've just left that like on a hook, because it means that people are going to have to go visit the website now, aren't they, and sort of get a little bit closer to this conference. No, I mean, I'm excited for that. I think leadership is you know, that is something that interests me a lot. I think it's a very important role for us to play. So if we can get better at that, if we can learn from some of the insights in your tracks and just step things up a bit, that is going to be fantastic. And I'm also surprised that you didn't give me a Marvel movie, that you gave me Will Smith instead.
I just want the listeners to know I watch other movies.
You watch other movies too. Okay, right. Mark, we're over to you now for a little rundown of track 3, please. What have you got in store for us?
Hello, Joe, and hello, welcome to everybody. My track is track number 3, and the title is Business Analysis Mastery. So basically, if you think you're standing still in your career, you know, you're very mistaken, because while you're not moving forward, everybody else is moving forwards. So relative to them, you're actually standing still. So it's essential, you know, that you stay up to date through upskilling, different methods, different strategies, different techniques there are to be learned, and then completing courses and gaining certification, not courses of completion, but actually writing the exam, passing the exam, and show that you actually did, you know, consume all that knowledge. So basically, the speakers in my track, they're all South African. I've got 7 speakers in my track, but I'm really, really looking forward to all the talks in my track. Really exciting track. I've got Chrisanne. She's going to be talking about unleashing the power of a BA and navigating globalization and cloud-based innovations and future possibilities. And then, of course, Joe, you're in my track. Aren't I a lucky person? So you're going to be talking on the future BA with 9 skills and mindsets to succeed in the next decade. And then I've got Reggie, and he's got a really catchy title, The Magic in You. So that's going to be something good as well. And then I've got also Christelle. I've also got Oupa. I've got a keynote speaker in my track as well. I've got Sia, and she'll be talking on leveraging your niche analysis and value networks. So that's going to be a really interesting talk as well. So thank you, Joe. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. And I loved what you said at the beginning, you know, like you'll be standing still. Other people will be moving forward. You're going to be standing still. And I think with the rate of change that we can expect into the future, that gap that emerges between you and somebody else who is developing is going to be like light years within a short moment of time, given the amount of technology, the amount of industry shift that we are seeing. Right, thank you, Mark. Now, Shahnaaz, I'm sure that your track is last but by no means least. So tell us what is going on in your track, please.
Sure. Hi, Joe.
Hi.
So I have track 4, which is about maturing your practice. And it looks at the sort of management side of the business analysis profession and how you bring that together to form your practice. And it's the process of developing and improving the maturity of the practice. So, what you look at assessing the current maturity, setting the future goals, and then also how to get there. So a few interesting speakers in the track. We've got Sivu, who's actually going to be speaking about an actual journey to business analysis, practice maturity, and how to get management involvement and organizational support, and addressing some of the common pitfalls that could happen through that journey. Then we have Carrington, who's going to be looking at a competing values framework. Because I think, from a management perspective, one of the things that you struggle with in your BA practice is how to prioritize those competing values. So he's going to be unpacking a bit of that. And then, last but not least, in the track, we have Samuel, who's actually from New Zealand, who's going to be speaking around a framework thinking approach with regards to navigating technology and this changing and evolving world that we find ourselves in as business analysts.
Wonderful. Yeah, lots of good
Yeah,
talks
so that's
there.
those are my speakers.
Yeah, lots of good talks, lots of good speakers. And as you say, we do have to improve, right? It needs to be sort of continuous improvement. I'm seeing now how this ties in a little bit with Oupa's sustainability, how it ties in a little bit with Mark's mastery, how it ties in with Christelle's leadership. So it's nice how these tracks all are starting to complement each other rather than just being isolated tracks. We're trying to create a little bit of stoke, right, for people who are listening, a little bit of excitement for those who've got their ticket, a little bit of FOMO for those that haven't. I know that you've all been big supporters of the BA Summit over the years. There must be a memory that is standing out for each of you. I'm going to come to you first, Ed. Tell me what's sort of your favourite moment over the years?
It's the pictures. Taking the pictures, the cameraman. I love the beautiful pictures that come out the summit. I'm very honest. I think we have one of the best cameramen, and they take good pictures. That the nice thing about that, it creates a long-lasting memory, of the summit. So apart from that, I mean, the lineup that we have is great. I've seen some of these guys, if not all of them, speaking before. So I know that the delegates are in for a good treat. So because these are guys who are experts in their own space, they are subject matter experts. They've been around, they've done the work. They're doing a show and tell. So you're definitely not going to miss. Not going to regret being part of the summit. So I'm looking forward to it. And of course, all the the social aspects of the summit where we meet with our old friends. It's always a nice way of engaging and expanding your network as well. It's not only about learning, but it's also about expanding your network as a business analyst.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a family reunion, isn't it? Really,
It is.
together each year, which is very cool. And I like the photos. Yeah, I think they're a lasting memory, right? So yeah, there are some nice photos in there, and there was quite a funny GIF too, actually, Ed. But we're going to move on to Shahnaaz. Can you share with us one of your favourite moments?
Sure. I think it was the one that actually, the last one just before COVID hit. I really enjoy the workshops when it comes to the summit. I think I've been to like about five summits. So the workshops really, really give you skills that you can actually go apply. And the one that I attended was around graphic facilitation at the time, um, which reignited that pen and paper business analyst in me. So that was really exciting. So it's not only learning the new skills; it's kind of looking at the ones that you've had in the past that still kind of apply. So yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Won't you just name who hosted that workshop? I think if it's stuck in your mind, they deserve a mention. Who was it?
I'm actually not sure of their names, and they had a website called the Collab Crew, which is not active anymore, unfortunately. So yeah, but I'll get the details for you, and I'll share it. I'll share it with you.
Okay.
It was two ladies actually.
Okay. Right. Mark, what about you? What's your standout?
All right. So I think the summit that Shahnaaz is referring to is if it was before COVID, because I presented on the power of a mastermind on the 2020 BA summit. So the one before that would have been the 2019 at the Lord Charles Hotel in Somerset West. Shahnaaz, is that correct? Just outside Cape Town? Yes. Okay.
Yes, it's
So
that one.
that one. Okay. So that was my first one that I attended. I've only been a BA since 2015, so I'm not a BA for a long time. But the highlight of that for me was actually meeting face to face with a lot of people that I've networked with before, introduced myself to a whole bunch of people. I met Edward for the first time. Joe, I met you for the first time. I met Adrian Reed there. So I met some really powerful, influential people in the BA community and sphere. And since then, I've continued virtual networking with everybody. I try and reach out to most people in the IIBA. So a lot of the presidents and ex-presidents I reach out to, connect and communicate with. So I'm doing a lot of networking. And another big takeaway is to actually meet up with people from the companies and to see it from their perspective, what they utilize in our BA services and how important, how an integral part that they find us. And just having this discussion just to feel, that our career is here. It's great to be a senior BA, and yes, long live the BA community.
Yeah, no, it's nice to build some connections that do extend beyond the conference into, our days and our weeks. Right, thank you, Mark. Christelle, what's your moment?
So, not many people know this, Joe, but last year was my first time attending the conference. I was one of those people that had severe FOMO because when our company would choose business analysts to send them to the conference, I would never get picked. So when I finally got the opportunity, I was like, I'm going to take it all. I'm going to be a track chair, I'm going to attend the conference, and I'm going to speak for the very first time at any conference ever. Talk about
And it
jumping
did
in
well.
into the but I think people don't realize the great networking opportunity that this conference actually affords you, because last year being my first conference presentation, I was able to create this network and then go on to do an international conference, do a few podcasts, do a few webinars. So if you're hungry, this conference is the place to be, because the network is strong, supportive, and they will grow you and they will nurture you. And I think that's the greatest part of being at the conference. Not to mention, it's such a beautiful cultural display of what South Africa is. I mean, at our conference last year, we got this term BAFF, Business Analyst Friend Forever. It's a term that has now traveled into other chapters across the world that originated because of the great South African hospitality and culture that we share. Last year at the conference, we closed the conference with every attendee doing the Jerusalema. And a memory that sticks out in my mind was that Imtiaz from the UK had no clue how to do the dance. And I'm pretty sure he was just like tapping his elbows, but he was thoroughly enjoying himself at this conference. And then at his presentation, he had Denelkis and I do the Bhangra. So you had this Latino and this South African do a Bhangra at a South African conference. But that's what makes us South African, right? We are the Rainbow Nation. And our professional self and personal self are not two different people. So I think it's just a great display of South African culture, as well as what it means to be a South African business analyst.
It's definitely lively, isn't it? Especially sort of on that final day. It does get a little bit noisy, a little bit loud, and a little bit dancey, which is very cool. Right, Oupa, tell us what you stands out.
I struggle to remember whether it was 2016 or 2018, but it was the Joburg conference. The first time that I was exposed to the concept of design thinking. And it was Tempo with, what's his name? I remember the surname Sipeng
It was in Joburg.
because Yes, yeah. I remember the surname Sipeng because of Ezekiel Sipeng, the marathon runner, but I always forget his name. But for the first time, I was introduced to the concept of design thinking. It's like, that's a different way of doing analysis. And I've seen some breaks that quite a lot. And I mean, that has also helped me when I moved into working more with digital projects and stuff like that. That having hands-on practice on how you can do this, and I have sort of baked that into my analysis as well. To say it's not just the hard be using it. That was quite phenomenal. And at the same conference, there was a gentleman, I can't remember his name, where he was, just showcasing the kind of projects that they work on. And he mentioned somewhere they went to a squatter camp and they needed to find a solution of sorts. But I think what was phenomenal for me about that was the way that they were thinking about a problem. And I'm like, yeah, it's not about the business requirement, the user story, the what. It's about understanding what the need is, and there are different ways of going on about it. I think that one was absolutely phenomenal for me, and yeah, I will cherish it. And obviously, our network started there, and knowing that there are people that I can reach out to and that I've never met before, and it's always vibrant. I just love the culture and the vibe that you actually have at the conference. If you're not there, definitely FOMO will kill you. You might need to go see a doctor and ask for a sick note just so that you can cry at home and not at work.
Yeah. I think you highlighted that we can learn something there too, Opal, which is pretty cool about it. Yeah, it's nice to
I'd
hear.
like to change my answer.
Yeah, let the employers know that there's some ROI on that ticket, right?
Yes.
Good strategy, Opal. Yeah, no, it's nice, but I think the range of answers from all of you just shows the range of benefit that you get from it. I mean, it is enormous. I mean, it is a once of a kind. It gets the tagline Business Analysis Event of the Year. I know it's been stolen recently by another event, but I think it stays true to this one. It really is different. While you've got the mic, Opar, let's dig in a little bit to the keynotes. I know that you guys sort of divvy up responsibility for looking after the keynotes between you, but let's start with you, Opar. Who are you looking after?
Yeah, I have the privilege of looking after, and he's a grown up, Bola Adisope. I mean, he's well renowned, very seasoned business analysis and project management professional. He has done phenomenal work in North America, in Europe, in Africa. And he runs some sort of academy as well where he helps people get certified. I mean, he's speaking every time that I follow him on LinkedIn and I can see that he's actually busy. He has a very much vested interest in making sure that solutions are done well, projects are implemented well, and he's going to be speaking on OKRs. And you want to know what OKR is? You will find out. Don't worry. So yes, I'm looking forward to welcoming Bola. I think he's just going to be quite a hitter, kicking us off on a phenomenal note for this year's summit.
Yeah, and of course he's done a couple of virtual presentations for us as well.
Yes, yes, yeah.
See him here in person for the first time. Thanks, Opar.
Mm-hmm.
Bill, which keynote do you have?
So on day one of the conference, Jennifer Batten is doing the closing keynote, and it's entitled Your Personal Power of Three. Now, I know when you hear that title, you're thinking this is a soft, gooey presentation, but it's actually about unlocking your personal traits that help you grow your career and progress in your career. It's about harnessing those traits to develop that next level business analysis career that you're looking at. And obviously, it looks different for every person. So, through her presentation, she uncovers how you can discover your personal power of three for yourself and then harness that to grow your career. She's an international speaker. She's the co-founder of the Uncommon League, and she's also the creative director there. Has a really cool way of doing the presentation, and I'm 99.9% certain she can connect with just about anybody because she's got a really fun way. She has a hat with a globe attached to it. How can you not want to listen to that presentation? It's an idea hat.
Definitely uncommon, right? I'm
Definitely.
looking forward to it. All right. And Ed, who's in your sort of little track for this?
Yeah, so I think we're fortunate to have amongst us on the second day of the conference, opening the conference on day 2, Ms. Zanele Njapa. She's the unlearning lady. I don't even know how many keynotes she's given this year. She's been keynoting all over in the country. I mean, if you are on LinkedIn, you would have seen her. So I think we actually like it to actually have her when she's really at the peak of her work in terms of keynotes. She's brilliant. She's engaging. She connects with the audience, and I'm sure she'll deliver just as we've seen her deliver throughout the year in various conferences. And she is, of course, an unlearning lady, so she's going to focus on unlearning and relearning, which ties in and wraps up the entire underlying theme that underlies the theme that we spoke about earlier on. So I'm really looking forward to have her as part of our keynote speakers.
Yeah, me too. I think that'd be fascinating if we can get a little bit about the science and just sort of understand how to do that. Stop giving it just a little bit of say, but actually a little bit of action. I think that's going to be a very important sort of lesson in there for us. Thank you, Ed. Right, I think we just got 2 more things to sort of talk about and wrap up. One is at the start of the 2 days, for those who buy an extra special ticket, right, they get to attend some workshops, don't they, Oupa?
Yes, indeed. I mean, I guess for me, it's quite exciting. Like I did mention before, I got to take something with me that I still apply to this day. And that was just at one of the summits that I attended. So this year, we've got some fantastic people that are going to be doing workshops for us. Kathy, all the way from Australia, helping us to build teams in a collaborative way with the concept of team collaboration canvas. So you probably want to know what that is about. And if you have an opportunity, you can go over there. And we have our very own right here, Mark. Mark is going to be doing a fantastic workshop about goal setting mastery, making sure that you can empower yourself all the way to a successful journey, talking about sustainability, long-term leadership. So Mark, I mean, he has grown quite a number of successful business analysts throughout the world. So I think that's going to be quite a punch as well. And hey, Philip, he's quite eccentric, and he's going to be doing a workshop about experimenting your way to success. That in itself tells you is like, okay, so you can actually experiment your way to success. And we've seen him do these workshops, and he always does a fantastic job. You leave there also feeling like, oh wow, okay, actually I can do something about this. And hey, guess who is going to be doing a fantastic workshop on the day? His name is Joe Newbert, and he's going to be doing a full day foundation in business analysis, and this is going to be helping especially when you're starting, but not only that, even if you're already in the field, to be able to get you started up and understand that this is quite a journey that we're going to be going to. So you can see that we have international and we have local here, and it's going to be quite a fantastic workshop day. So if you did get the extra special ticket, please do not miss out on these workshops. You're going to gain so much, and you will not regret having attended them. And who knows, you might be the one that changes things when you go back to your workplace because of the workshops.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I mean, we've got a little duty, don't we? Christelle talked earlier about not being the person who got the ticket, but the people who do go, there's a responsibility to get the takeaways, to play that back into the organisations and
Absolutely.
try and make a difference.
Yeah.
And we got something a little bit new this year, Shahnaaz, doing something a little bit different to previous years. What have you got up your sleeve?
Yeah, so we've got the discussion groups, which is a new addition to the summit this year. So these are smaller, more interactive group discussions where people can come together and share the experiences and the insights. So it will run alongside the speakers. And we've got people from all over the world. We've got someone from Australia, Belgium, the UK, Madrid, and we're covering topics such as mindfulness, how to use mindfulness as a business analyst to increase focus, manage stress, and build resilience. And we'll be unpacking the relevance of business analysts in the world we find ourselves today, and looking at actions to showcase our value and our relevance in our profession. And then also a talk or discussion on contracting and whether or not to contract as a business analyst, and looking at, what do you consider when you think about contracting, from money to freedom to the type of projects, your professional development. So quite a broad range of topics that people can share amongst our peers and our network, from what we've learned through the years and through our profession.
Okay, this sounds like a really nice addition to the conference. I think it's going to give many more people an opportunity to speak, and it sounds very practical, very helpful. Like, if there's a topic I'm interested in, I'm going to be able to get a lot out of that particular forum. I think this is fantastic. Well, let me say thank you to you guys. I do know what it takes to be a track chair. I do know the effort that you put in when it comes to your brains, coming up with the themes, choosing the speakers, making sure that the whole show, has some structure and connects together. I think you've done a wonderful job this year. I'm definitely excited for it. So thank you very much, every one of you.
Woohoo!
Thank you for having us, Joe.
Thank you.
We're hoping
You
after
too.
this
Thank you.
podcast, the toughest decision is not whether or not to get a ticket, but once you get the ticket, which speaker's presentation do you actually attend?
Yes.
How do you make that trade-off? I want to see people trying to figure out innovative ways to split themselves into 4 pieces and attend all at the same time.
Yeah, that's always the conundrum. There's always a couple where it really is a toss of a coin, and you're always disappointed that you couldn't do both. But okay, thank you guys. There you have it, the track chair rundown. All the tracks and all the speakers straight from the track chair's mouth. BA Summit Southern Africa, inspiring the future of business analysis, and it's happening from the 30th of October to the 1st of November at the Doubletree Hilton in Woodstock, Cape Town. If you've already registered, that's wicked. But if not, please head over to basummit.co.za/168FM. That's the words 1, 6 and 8, not the numbers. Go there and book your ticket, and we'll see you at the summit. Until then, take care and keep growing.